where we engage with Senegal authorities in order to be able to mitigate these activities. You're at the helm of this board and committees. You can provide that.
Thank you very much. Going to your question, of course, we are doing a lot of stakeholder collaboration and then regional and international cooperation when it comes to smuggling of migrants and even trafficking in person. And in this year, at the beginning of the year, you've seen that the government have made efforts through the government of Spain in trying to promote safe, regular, and orderly migration by coming up with a circular migration policy that will help our Gambian migrants move to Spain regularly and then coming back. All these are efforts, government efforts and department efforts towards uh, preventing loss of lives and also promoting orderly and dignified migration. And then also when it comes to regional cooperation, we are cooperating with like Senegal, Mauritania, as far as Morocco, in trying to consolidate efforts to see that migrants are protected and they have a dignified way of moving into other countries of their migratory interest.
Yes, I believe that would answer the question. I also want to emphasize that most of these organizers are Senegalese. I want to bring in the context of the ECOWAS Free Movement Protocol within the West African bloc as well, that it has also contributed towards many West African countries coming to the country. Now, if you may not be aware, that there is what you call as the NBIC, the ECOWAS Biometric Identity Card, which is being implemented by most ECOWAS member states. The Gambia, as we speak, is among the leading countries that leads this biometric identification system. And recently, in fact, our director had traveled to Cotonou at the head of Immigration Forum, where they discussed some of these issues. Now, I also want to emphasize that the GID is also at the apex of revenue collection. As I speak right now, just after the third quarter, the GID has stand at a staggering number of more than $500 million have been collected through our operations. So if we are to talk about our people supporting our operation, we also have to indicate that we have also been at the forefront of revenue collection. Last year, at the end of the year, we had about $420 million worth collected. This year, just after the third quarter, we have about $520 million collected. And we have 2 more months to go. That means we'll at least be going close towards $600 million. So I think it's good for our people to also know that we are not just controlling borders, but also trying to create revenue where for the country can also thrive on. And this could be a factor that authorities have to also look upon. If I'm able to bring in money for you, safeguard the border for you, provide ID cards for you, as you have seen our staff going all the way to Guinea-Bissau, going towards Mauritania, going towards Togo and Gabon to also issue identity cards. This is all done in a spirit to safeguard the rights of Gambian citizens, in as much as they stay outside this country. So these efforts are being made to support Gambians and also protect them. So it is also key for government to also look back and say, well, you have been doing a lot, let's give you a tap on your back, try to expedite your bill, and then, of course, you'll be able to do your work more effectively and efficiently as well. So if you have any other concerns we would want to clarify, if not, we will have to take it up from here. Another question, how you can also cover to be able to engage in most of these activities. If any report of a GID staff involved in organizing irregular migration routes. I have seen a report on the media that claims that officers of a different sector have been involved that we cannot quantify and substantiate. But then our reports and what we have investigated within the migrants have not shown us any GID staff engaged in this irregular migration route. If there are claims of others being involved, we would advise that they at least maintain decorum and avoid being involved in such cases because it compromises our efforts at the level of the Gambia Immigration Department. What do we do to maintain accountability? The GID had undergone series of transformations. If you engage with our GID staff, you will know that the GID then and now there are big gaps because our staffs are trained to be professional in their conduct with the public servants, with the public. As we speak, we have a training ongoing to focus on human rights and also national protection activities. So we are still very much committed in trying to lead the reform strategies of our department and make sure our staff are engaged with accountability and also transparency. So I do not have any records of a GID staff involved in some of these organizations' activities. Thank you very much. So, almost in every briefing that I have with you, we would sometimes reference that the reason why these activities are surging is because of the lack of a law that criminalizes smuggling of migrants within the Gambia here. The GID bill, at this point, we are told has gone a bit far because in our last meeting I had that it has passed through cabinet review. They had made some comments that should be adjusted before it goes to the parliament. But then In as much as we know it is making progress, we also feel like the process could have been expedited, knowing that the number is increasing and then more Gambians are posed with threats when it comes to this activity. So the bill still becomes a challenge. With all our efforts, with all our officers and their engagements, in as much as migrants who is not criminalized, organizers will still engage in having this being done within the country. If you have observed of recent, Gambians have been prosecuted by the Senegal authorities because of migration groups. And that is because Senegal has very strong laws that criminalizes regular migration activities. Unlike us, where we have seen Senegalese as the staggering number coming to the country, using us as a transit point to travel out of this country. So while we want to intercept them, if the law is not there, it's going to impede the efforts we're making. And as much as we're able to intercept 2,000 people, how many people have left? Why is the greatest number of these people coming from Senegal and Guinea? Because we don't have the laws. So it is now the interest of the country for them to also realize that if these laws are not in place, the jihadist activities will all go in futility because it will not going to support or mitigate these particular practices. So I would say that the law is always a concern to us. And we have been calling upon authorities to also safeguard and also expedite it. Just yesterday, it was discussed in a meeting that was conducted. So now it becomes the cabinet's work. It also becomes the parliament's effort to also push for it to be taken to the parliament, and they can review and do the needful before it affects our engagements. So many lives have been lost over the past months, and we can say it's because the laws are not there. And as much as we want to safeguard lives, the country has to also start by having legislation to support these activities to be able to mitigate most of these practices. So it becomes a concern, and we do hope that those hearing us and they have a part towards the bill will also make efforts to at least support the GID in its drive to cope with regular migration activities. Yes, ma'am.